Okay, so when I talk about system related activities, what we did, so we created implementation user and we assigned required roles, and we created implementation project, create implementation project, and we discussed a few points related to geographies related information. Manage geographies related information. So in the system point of view, these are the three tasks which we performed: user creation and role assignment, and implementation project creation, and we just gone through that relevant information. Prior to that, we discussed how to enable the offerings and options, right? So let me just include that: enable offerings and options. And we created implementation project based on those offerings and options which are enabled, and we just gone through the manage geographies related information, okay, which is required in every fresh instance. We have to go and enable, and we have to define the structure with respect to geography types, and we have to just enable validation where the information you can get in LOV as for as per tax requirements. We have to enable so tax validation related controls in the manage geographies itself. Okay, so in today's session, what we'll do is we'll just create we'll create accounting calendar, and we'll start working on chart of accounts. So I create chart of accounts. Okay, the first point here is create accounting calendar. So when I talk about create accounting calendar, in case of EBS, what are the setups we perform? First, we'll create the period type, then we'll create the accounting calendar. First, we have to create period type, and we'll create accounting calendar. So when I talk about period type, within the period type you can specify the year type also, whether the year is going to be physical or calendar year. That completely depends on country financial year, and we'll be specifying the number of periods which we are going to define as a part of accounting calendar. Those controls we can specify within the period type. But when you talk about fusion, you don't need to create any period types. Okay, you don't need to create any period type. So in EBS, first we'll create period type, after that we'll create accounting calendar. The accounting calendar, when you create accounting calendar, that will be creating through manual process, or else you may load accounting calendar related information to the system by using the data loader. So but system point of view, that is a completely manual process. But in case of fusion, the 2 points here: the first point is you no need to create accounting period type. The second point is we no need to create accounting calendar through manual process. The accounting calendar, they did announcement. That's nothing but the accounting calendar can be created automatically based on the inputs which you provide. Okay, so how many periods you require, all the specifications you have to give, then system will create the accounting calendar automatically. Now we are going to see how to create the accounting calendar. Okay, so no period type you have to define. You can find most of the period types which are predefined in the system, so the same you can use as per your requirement, which period type: quarterly, hourly, yearly, or weekly, or monthly, daily. You can select the period type, and then straight away you can go and create the accounting calendar. So the task here is create accounting calendar. Now we are going to create the accounting calendar. So we log into the instance. Our user is Cloud ERP. Provide password. Now what are the tasks you want to perform? You navigate to implementation project, do every setup from there itself. Just go to project. To navigate to project, just click on user, or next to user have a drop down option. Click on that, then click on setup and maintenance tasks, which will navigate us to FSM. So there we can see tab called as implementation projects. Click on that. Instead of searching for our project from this big list, normally when you are working for a client, you don't see this kind of sort of big list. There will be simple I mean, you'll be finding one or two projects, but since it's a kind of vision instance, so instead of searching for your project from that list, which you can see here, just click on Overview tab, which will navigate us to the projects which are associated with your user. Now open this project by clicking on the project title, and here we can search for our task, what we want to perform. Okay, accounting calendar creation. Search for accounting calendar. Just click on search. So here we can see the task called as manage accounting calendars. So if you want to go with a detailed navigation, this is the navigation path. So you have to go to financials. From there, define common application configuration for financials, define enterprise structure for financials, define financial reporting structures, then define calendars. Under this task list, you will be finding the task called as manage accounting calendars. Just click on this task, manage accounting calendars. The same navigation once again. If you want to see from here you don't see directly, but by clicking on show hierarchy, you'll be able to see the navigation, how to navigate to this task by following the which path. So this is a path which you have to follow if you want to go with a manual navigation. Generally we don't use any manual navigation. Whatever you want to perform, directly you can search and you can proceed. Okay, done. So the task name is manage accounting calendars. Just click on go to task icon. Go to task. For that we have an icon, go icon. Just click on that. Click on go to task icon. It will navigate us to accounting calendar definition page. So here we can create accounting calendars. Since this is a vision instance and we are using for practice, you can see many calendars already defined in this environment. Okay, we have many accounting calendars which are defined. As a part of vision definition, Oracle also created few definitions, but when you talk about fresh environment, we know we don't see any sample data also here. Now we'll proceed with accounting calendar creation. Just click on create. Click on create. Okay, fine. So here you can provide all this information. Based on that, system will create accounting calendar automatically. It will include all the periods based on the specifications what you give. So here we'll give the name. We'll go with the what name we can use for all the definitions. So
yeah, I think we can just continue with cloud. Yeah,
I think I mean what I'm thinking is that may become some duplication that people might be already using, and for other batch we are using cloud, and cloud one we are using. Let's go with the cloud ERP.
Maybe batch number. Maybe batch number would be good.
Not sure on the batch number, so
Get a new batch number.
okay. What we'll do is we'll go with the cloud ERP, whatever the name you are using, we'll proceed with that. Okay, so cloud ERP. I'll say ERP cloud. So later we'll be creating our employee user. At that time we'll name it as a ERP cloud. So we'll go with this name, ERP cloud calendar. You know, it won't accept many characters of text to provide the name. The exact name will write as a description. ERP cloud, say accounting calendar for USA. And start date. When I talk about US accounting calendar, so based on that financial years, we have to give the start date. So for US calendar, as per the financial year, it starts Jan, right? Say Jan 1st, 2017. Here date format by default system will take month, date and year. That you can specify, you can change also. We have a preferences to set up. And period frequency. So this is what we use as a period type definition in EBS. So in EBS we'll create period type, then we'll create accounting calendar. But here most of the period the frequencies they given as a predefined values. Okay, so I'm just selecting monthly. So when you say monthly, then system can understand 12 periods are required. So based on that, it will generate the 12 periods. And here's separator between the period suffix, prefix and year suffix, that to create the period name. So what separator is required? Hyphen, or else you can go with a different option. Normally we go with hyphen. And what should be the format for the period name? What are the period calendar accounting calendar system is going to create within the accounting calendar? What are the periods we are going to have? What format the period should be followed? We have a different formats here. You can select how you want to see, but we'll use this format as a very standard format in most of the cases. So I'm going to accept the same. So another point here is adjusting period frequency. Here you can specify how many adjustment periods you require. You can specify how many adjustment periods you require. If you don't need, you can accept none, or else twice at year end, once at year end, once in the mid year, and twice at year end, and once mid year and once at year end, once at beginning of the year and once at end of the year. Okay, or else quarterly once, or other. It will give you the option where you can select how many, that everything will be added in the last end of the year. So that's how you can specify. Say I'm going to select this value as a once at year end. That means here period frequency is monthly, and I selected once at year end. So system is going to add one additional period as a adjusting period. The total periods are going to be 13 periods in our accounting calendar. And here we have one checkbox called as budgetary control only. So we know in EBS, when you create the budget, same accounting calendar periods will be used for budgeting purpose. But in Fusion, we have a flexibility. You can define the separate calendar with a different period frequency for your budgeting purpose. That means you can have your accounting calendar, and apart from that, you may have a different calendar for your budgeting purpose. That flexibility we have. If you are going to use this calendar for your accounting purpose, don't mark it as a budgetary control only. If you want to use this is for accounting calendar, if you want to have a different calendar, okay, with a different period frequency, maybe budgeting you may need, say for example, quarterly. So in that case, you can go with the period frequency quarterly. That may be for the purpose of budgeting. In that case, enable it, so that calendar will be, you can use it for budget definition. Anyway, when we are working on budget, we'll see that process and all. Okay, so this is a point just to understand in this stage. So here they given the note also what normally we are aware of in case of EBS. You cannot perform the translation for the first period of the any accounting calendar. In that case, we go with a workaround where we'll create, if there is some need of performing the translation the first period of your accounting calendar, what we do, we'll go with the first period as adjusting period. That's how we'll go with the workaround. So but here as a standard functionality, they given the note. Okay, so this is how we have to provide this information. Any questions here, please? Once you click on next, the system will create the accounting calendar automatically. You don't need to do anything. Any questions here, please?
Hi Lakshman, what you said about translation, can you please elaborate what
we have in EBS? It can be released 11A or release 12 or Fusion, everywhere remains same. So we know when you perform the translation, that will not run for your first accounting period within your calendar. That is a limitation we have. For that, what we do, if there is some need of running the translation in the first period, so since system won't support, we'll be creating the adjusting period, and then we'll have our actual period as a second period. That's how we'll go with the workaround. Okay, the same point they given here, you cannot run in the first period. Translation cannot be run in the first period of your accounting calendar. So when somebody see this note who are not aware of that concept, okay, how it works, those people will plan accordingly. So if they have a requirement of running the translation in the first period, they may go with this practice of once at beginning of the year, once at year ending. Then your actual period will become second period, where your first period is going to be adjusting. So then system will understand your actual period as a second period, then it will allow for translation. Okay, the same feature how we have in EBS, the same we have here, but just they given the note. That's what we are discussing. So any questions on this, please?
Yeah, why we have to create the adjusting period? What is the functional requirement for that?
Do you know EBS?
Yeah,
Who is speaking?
Naveen.
Naveen. Naveen, just see in EBS why we create adjusting period.
No, I want to just little bit clarify. I have doubt means adjusting. We create the adjusting just because some transaction. So I have to match the balances so that suppose if there is a mismatch, I have to put it in adjusting and make the balance equal.
Yeah, same purpose. So here I am taking once at year end. So year end it will create when you are closing the books. What are the adjustment entries you have that will be passing in the separate period? So the same purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually, I don't have much clear understanding. That's why I
Oh,
clarified. That's it.
yeah, nothing wrong. Yeah, fine.
Okay.
So yeah, any questions on this, please? So just we given some
Yes.
specifications based on that system is going to create our accounting calendar automatically based on this period frequency and adjusting periods and the format specification and starting date. Okay, it will create our calendar automatically. Any questions here, please?
Yes.
I have a question, Lakshman. This is Archana. In the LOVs, like this monthly and adjusting period frequency, can we add more values as per the requirement of his business?
No. See,
So whatever is there are the one known.
these values are not just lookup values how you see in EBS. This is just for classification purpose you can have, but these got functionality behind it. Okay,
Yes.
not add. We can see when I say monthly, system can understand monthly means 12 periods. It will start generating
Yes.
the periods from this date. If I am going to select just for information, then we can add and you can maintain. But it got functionality that which is need to be developed by Oracle only. So we cannot add anything. We have to use only within this. If apart from this something else we are looking based on general practices, they given this frequency. Normally we use monthly. Require maybe some weekly or quarterly if there is some sort of requirement. Normally monthly, right? We use it. So if apart from this, if any frequency you are looking for it, definitely we can talk to Oracle. They can help you on that.
Okay.
My question is,
And one more question. Sorry. One more question. Like here you are explaining this accounting calendar. Do we have the transactional calendar also here, or
Yes.
we don't have that at all?
We have. Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah.
You can create transactional calendar also, same as EBS. For our
Okay. The same functionality, like the business days, to specify the business day.
correct. For the separate task we have. Okay.
Yeah. This is for the accounting calendar. That must be the transaction calendar, different task.
Exactly, you're right.
Okay.
Fine. Any other
Hi,
questions?
Lakshman.
Please.
Hi, Lakshman. I just wanted to know, like the first period, it has been defined as a Jan 17. So same format is applicable throughout the calendar, I think.
Exactly. The one format only we have to use for entire definition.
Okay, thank you.
And going forward, we don't need to say now it will create for 1 year. For next year, if you want to create, once you create the calendar, there will be option saying that create periods for next year. Just one click, it will create the next years of the periods automatically by following the same criteria. We'll see that also.
Okay, like no need to define the periods as we
Manual.
EBS.
You don't need to go with the manual process. Even for first year also or any year, just when you say accounting calendar, the period definition they automated. Yeah, we are going to see that point also. Fine. So let's
my question is still people
Please.
jumping in. So as you mentioned, that's in this first period is we cannot do a translation. It's only for the first time, or every year it could be the same situation, like 17 is over. 2017 we given a first period is an adjusting period, and the second January is a second period. The system will do the translation. Is it applicable for every year, or only the first time that?
No. In the financial year first period, the number which system will take as a 1, for that you cannot do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so in every year we have to be.
That is the reason we'll go with if you have a requirement of running the translation for first period, normally we go with this option. For our actual adjustment transactions, actual adjustments, you can use whatever the adjusting period system will create in the end of the year. Because of this translation, to have a workaround practice, we'll be using this first period as adjusting. Then our actual periods will be between the first and last adjustment period. Those are 12 in case of month.
So is there any workaround if the company has only...
That's what the workaround only we are talking.
No. If they have not defined the first period as adjusting period.
You see,
first period is January. So
yeah, I got your point. That is actual workaround. If you are not going to follow workaround again normally there is no workaround, as I know. In that case only we have to talk to Oracle, because this is a workaround. So this is
because it's the first month and that they have only 12 periods and they have to report as a currency that.
Correct. Definitely. See, such kind of scenarios always we have to keep in touch with Oracle. Definitely, they can come up with alternative workaround. Normally, what are the projects we do implementation and all, this is practice we follow. By mistake, there is no requirement from the client at the point of implementation. If they are going to come up with the requirement, so definitely we will keep in touch with Oracle. They'll be helping us. Okay, being a consultant, will aware of all these points. So that is the reason sometimes there may be case where by mistake they may ignore. That is the reason they given, since it's a very, very much important, they given note itself within the definition time. Okay, fine.
Lakshman, if you get 5 years conversion history or something, master of data, transaction conversion history, so you have to backdate 5 years start date period.
So, I mean, you are talking about no, just could you please repeat?
If you are getting historical data, when you prior to bringing the historical data, you have to make sure start date should be whatever your history.
See, normally we will set up everything ready. The data just will be loading as a summary of information into GL. So whatever you are going to perform in our application, in that process, it would be applicable. So prior data, you no need to worry about. You are not going to bring the total data, and you are not going to do the translation activity in the system.
Yeah, let's say if I have a bringing transactions related to 2015, so my start date should be 15 here, right?
Yeah, definitely, we'll do that. So in that case also we'll implement the same practice. You may use, may not use, but as I see, when you say calendar, it's a one-time specification that would be applicable for all the years of the periods, whatever we'll have as a part of that. Okay, even if you have a requirement from now for a previous data related accounting calendar definition also, that should get applicable. If there is some need, we'll use it. Otherwise, from the current date, that would get applicable. We'll go with the same practice even if you have past data. Okay, fine. So just click on next. We'll create accounting calendar, the periods based on this specification. Total 13 periods. Let's see here. I request you all just to mute from your end. Yeah, fine. So here you can see based on the specification, system created periods from Jan to December, and it created one adjusting period. The same system is marking as adjusting. Here you can see that column name as adjusting period. Now what we can do is just save and close. Here it will add the tab. Now just system generated, we are saving this record. Now just we can open that. Here you can search with the name ERP Cloud. This is accounting calendar we created. Just click on that name, the definition will be open. Here you can see the tab called as add year. The current financial year is 2017. If you just click on add year, it will be adding 2018. We'll just do it. Just click on add year. It will add the periods for 2018. See here, you can see it's added for 2018. This is just with one click you will be able to add 1 year periods. They automated this process. Again, you can say save and close, or else just say save. Then this generated periods will get saved within this accounting calendar. So that's how we can create the accounting calendar. So before we discuss about chart of accounts, we'll talk about currency also. Say enable currency. Okay, enable currency. So accounting calendar we created. Now we'll look at currency part. So we know in any version in EBS, it can be 11 or release 12 and the Fusion, all the currencies which are seeded, what are the currencies we have, Oracle will provide as a seeded currency values. All the currencies information will be available. In case of EBS, what we do, what are the currency we are going to use as a part of our ledger definition or any transactional purpose, we enable that currency, then that would get available for any further process. Or else if you take the very basic practice of primary ledger creation, by the time you go and create the primary ledger, or in case of 11i, before you go and create the set of books, you have to enable the currency so that the currency value will be available. You can select that value and you can create your set of book or ledger in case of EBS. But in Fusion, by default, all currencies are enabled. In fresh instance, I am talking about. In any instance, you just go through any instance, by default all currencies are enabled. That means we no need to enable any currency. If you don't want to see the currency values in the respective process which we are going to work, the big task for us is we have to go and disable those currencies. Okay, but in Fusion instance, by default all the currencies are enabled. We no need to enable, same as EBS. Okay, in EBS we have to enable which currencies we require. Those can be functional currency or foreign currency we have to enable. But here all the currencies, maybe your functional or foreign, all you can see as a enabled, the status as enabled. We'll just go and check it. Okay, so to just navigate to the currency function, you can search for currencies. So manage. So for everything, every task starts with a manage. Okay, if you want to search with a full task name, you can just include manage, or else just you can search with the currencies. I'm searching for the task called as manage currencies. The task manage currencies is available with the 2 different navigations. You can choose any one of the tasks. Finally, any navigation path will take us to the same function page. Okay, so I'm just going to select this manage currencies. Just click on this task. Sure, that is there in the which task list. There is a task list, and these are the different tasks. So click on go to task icon against manage currencies task. Just click on go to task icon. So here you can go and verify the currency what we are going to use in our primary ledger, that is enabled or not. USD. By default all currencies are enabled. You can search, you can see. Here you can see the currency is USD, currency name, description, enabled. If you compare with EBS, when you go and find out the currency record, so there you can find a few more fields. If you want to see that information here, you can expand it. Okay, the precision and all these details will be able to see the symbol, etc., etc. All you can see here. Okay, by default those are hidden, and you just compare with EBS. So you can see that currency is enabled here. Not only this, any currency. I'm not going to search for specific currency. Just go with open search. Just click on search, it will display all the currencies which are available here. So you can see all the currencies are enabled, not because of this is Vision instance. Okay, by default that's how that information is available. Okay, all currencies you can see. So that means the point what we have to understand is we no need to enable the currency. That's it, nothing else. Okay, we no need to enable the currency. Just for general discussion, I just mentioned as a enable currency, but that we no need to do it. Just I'm going to mark as a done. So all currencies are enabled. Any currency you can choose. So based on which country you are going to create the transaction.
Question.
Lakshman, in
this,
Flash
conversion.
implementation, the currencies will be available, I think, enabled.
Sorry.
For Flash implementation of the project,
Yeah.
the currencies will be enabled, or we have to do the enabling.
The same point we are discussing. I'm saying we no need to enable in the fresh instance.
Okay, okay.
Okay, by default all the currencies are enabled. In case of EBS we have to enable, right, in fresh also, but in Fusion that is not required.
So in this Fusion, that do we have to do the conversion, or it's already is provided by the Oracle, so conversion are available? Like,
No, we have to define how Oracle can
Okay.
guess on which date
No,
what
no.
it would be there.
No, not guess, like it's linked by like any website, like
No.
Bloomberg
They are
website,
not
or it's
providing that online some vendor service and all. We have to do it.
okay. Isn't that like other previous EBS, like same way we have to do the conversion from any currency?
Yeah, they are same applicable here.
Is it, automatically do the inverse also that, or
Sorry.
it automatically does the inverse also?
Yeah, inverse automatically it will take. Anyway, we will be working on that. GL related journals, AP invoices in foreign currency, air transaction foreign currency. At that time, definitely we'll go through it. Inverse also it will take automatically. You don't need to set it up. So they are automated. Yep.
Lakshman, can you extract all these currencies,
Yeah.
change something, enable, disable,
Any
enable, disable, and put it back again?
Yes. You can just enable all the currencies into spreadsheet. Any information you can do that. Just search. So most of the function that export option would be available. So here I think they didn't give for this currency part. But we have for most of the records what you see here, they give an option to export. You can export it. Now I think for this they didn't provide, but for most of the functions we have that. Since it's a seeded data, I think they didn't just enable that export option. Okay. For most of the definitions what we do, the export is applicable. We'll see that when we are working on this mostly transactions parts, we can see that.
Lakshman, I have just a question. Like the way you're navigating, like the managed currency.
Yeah.
Can you take to the navigation, from that left-hand side, instead of going to the implementation project all the time? The way like we can navigate to the.
We can do that.
Well,
See, I got your point. See, the one option is you can search like this. The other option is when you search for this value, there itself you can see the navigation. There are two navigations available which will take you to the same function. Otherwise, you can click on any one of the tasks, and you can just from here also you can know the navigation hierarchy path. This is another option. If not from here, you can directly search from the FSM. You don't need to enter into the project. But the point why I'm just going all the time through project, there are certain setups which you cannot perform from FSM without project. So that is the reason just I'm taking you through all the setups from project only. You can do that from here. Manage currencies.
Okay.
You can do here, but so if you start doing from here again, you will have experience where that won't work from here. Not all. There are few tasks we'll come across those also. I will explain why we cannot do outside of the project. I mean to say outside of the project means directly FSM without using the project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can search. There won't be an issue. You can just navigate to that. Just 1 second. Let me refresh this. You can do it, but a few tasks you cannot perform from FSM. It's always recommended to everything from the project. If some task is not available from your project, then you can do it from FSM, which is a very common task, which is not specific to the project. That's what we have to understand.
Okay.
You don't see the navigation also.
Right.
Direct. Yep. Fine. Done.
Okay.
When you are practicing also, don't go with this practice. Don't start with FSM related search task and don't try from here. Everything you just try to do from project only. That will help you. That will save our time when you talk about very specific tasks. Okay. Done. Fine. That's all about currency part. Now we'll talk about chart of accounts. So when you talk about chart of accounts, normally what process we follow? We'll create COA structure, right? Then within that we'll create segments. Then for each segment we'll assign. Then we'll create value sets. Then we'll assign value sets to respective segments. I'm talking about EBS. In case of EBS, what process? Here also more or less similar, but there are a few points to notice. EBS will create chart of account structure within the segments. After creating the segments, you can create the value sets. Those value sets you can assign to respective segment. Then we'll assign the value sets to segments. Then we'll assign flex field qualifiers, right? Qualifiers to segments. After that, we'll freeze and compile our COA structure. Then we'll create segment values. And while we create the segment values, we'll assign segment qualifiers. I'll write here as a separate task, but we'll be doing during this value creation only. Assign segment qualifiers to segment values. This is how we'll get ready with our chart of accounts. So we know, like when you create the segments, we can create the 30 segments. Okay, so minimum 2 are mandatory segments, balancing and natural account and all. Okay, we know in EBS how to do it. First we'll create where we create by using the accounting flex field, or say accounting key flex field. The actual name is accounting key, but display they give as accounting flex field, which is a key. So within the EBS, by using the accounting key flex field, we'll create the chart of account structure. Within that we'll create the segments. Then we'll create the value sets. Those value sets will assign to segments, and then for each segment, okay, what are the how you want to qualify that segment. Based on that, we'll be assigning the qualifiers, and then we'll freeze and compile the chart of account structure, and we'll make sure that once you compile, it is going to end normal without any issues or warnings. If something wrong where you forgot to assign the mandatory qualifier, it can be balancing natural account to throw some error message, right? We can look into that and we can correct accordingly. Again, we'll recompile, and finally we'll create the segment values for the segments with the help of value sets which are associated with respect to segments. Then we'll assign the segment qualifiers to segment values. If you look at the same practice in case of Fusion application, in Fusion applications, what sequence we have to follow, what are the steps we have to perform to get ready with our chart of account structure. So here also, say first we'll create chart of accounts structure. First we'll create chart of account structure. When you say structure, just will give the title I am talking about. When you say structure, everything comes under structure only. We'll give the structure name. That's what I'm just referring. After that, what we have to do is, after creating the structure, you have to create the value sets. Directly you cannot create the segments. In Fusion, when you are creating the segment, the value set will become mandatory. Without value set, you cannot create the segment. But in case of EBS, the field they given as a optional. That is the reason you can go with the sequence of segments then value sets. Here you have to create the value set. You have to create the value set. For that reason, the best thing what we can do is, first you can create the value sets. Create value sets. Then create chart of account structure. Give the title. Then create segments. So at the time of segment creation only, we'll be selecting the value set. In case of EBS, we'll create separately and will assign as a separate task. But here at the time of segment creation, you have to select the value set that they made as a mandatory. Then, so here also similar to this. These are the steps we discussed. Now here we'll assign the segment qualifiers to segment. We have a segment flex field qualifiers in case of EBS. The same flex field qualifiers what we have in EBS, there are some changes and we will discuss when you are working on it. But the naming convention they changed. EBS flex field qualifiers in Fusion we call as segment labels. Okay, say assign segment labels to segments. Instead of calling as flex field qualifiers, here we are calling as segment labels. Okay, we have to assign. We have to assign. Then after completing that, what we have to do is, we have to create chart of accounts structure instance. Here instance is nothing but copy. Okay, we have to create the, so what are the chart of account structure we are creating? The chart of account structure, against the structure we have to create the instance. What are the advantages and how that would be done in the system process, we'll see, but just try to understand this point. What are the sequence of setups we have to perform? Okay, we have to create the chart of account structure instance. Then we'll create, then after that what we have to do is, here we have to, instead of saying compile, okay, there is no option like where it's not mandatory, you have to go freeze and all. That practice we don't have. Here simply, after creating the chart of account structure instance, so here in case of EBS we are calling as, we have to compile the chart of account structure. Here what we'll do, we'll deploy. We have to, okay, deploy not our specific structure, entire accounting flex field. Deploy accounting flex field. So in case of EBS, when you create the chart of account structure, we select our chart of account structure that we freeze and we compile. But in case of in Fusion, so we cannot do specific structure or structure instance. Okay, this deployment process that has to be submitted at entire accounting flex field level. That's how the deployment takes place. We'll discuss this point just before we start with that system related, okay, definition. I'm just going to give you the points what we are going to perform. So we'll deploy the accounting flex field. After deployment only, you have to create the segment values. In case of EBS, you can create value set immediately. You can start creating the segment values also. There won't be an issue. But here you'll come across the issue. What sort of issue you'll be getting, that also we'll be discussing. Okay. So here we have to, after deployment, after deploying the accounting flex field only, we have to create the segment values. So create segment values by use for specific value set which is associated with the respective segment. For which segment, which values are required, we'll be creating with the help of value sets. We'll create segments, the segment values. Here also we are doing the same. After that, as a part of segment value creation, we assign segment qualifiers to segment values. The same segment qualifiers, here there are some changes again. They added new, even in case of here flex field qualifier, segment qualifiers, we have the same flex field qualifiers we are calling as segment labels. The number got changed here. We'll just look into that and we'll discuss here. Segment qualifiers, here we are calling as segment value attributes. Sorry, not segment, value attributes. The number also got changed. We'll discuss on that. So we'll create the segment values. We'll assign value attributes to segment values. This value attributes as per EBS segment qualifiers. Segment qualifiers, the name they change to value attributes in Fusion. The flex field qualifiers, the name they change to, okay, segment labels. Okay, so this is how just we have to complete the sequence of setup so that our chart of account will be ready. And another point is, so same as EBS will create the chart of account structure by including all this information, but in case of Fusion, you cannot use chart of account structure when you create your primary ledger. Only you can use chart of account structure instance only. Chart of account structure instance is a copy of chart of account structure. We'll create the chart of account structure that you have to copy, and you have to create the instance. Chart of account structure instance only we can use as a part of primary ledger definition. The actual chart of account structure will act as a template. We'll see that how we can create the instance, and what are the other advantages, which controls we have as what level. All these points will go through as a part of this system configuration. Okay, so just remember these points, then we'll proceed and we'll do it. For our testing purpose, what we'll do is, so instead of just taking many segments into our chart of accounts, better we'll go with a, say, 3 segments. We'll have a company segment, so department, we can qualify as a cost center, and account segment. So when you are going to enter the transactions, it will be easy for us to specify the values. And later anyway we'll be working on intercompany also. At that time offline I'll define other chart of accounts. I'll keep the setups ready. We'll go through the required setups for AGS and all. We'll be working on that. So company, department, account, that means we need 3 value sets. Okay, for company 1 value set, department and account other value sets. First we'll create 3 value sets, then we'll proceed with these definitions. Okay, since we written this here, I'll just make, okay, anyway, I'll just keep here. Fine. So now we'll go and create this 3 value sets for company, department, and account. Right. So when you look at these setups, mostly these setups you can see in the sequence in the system. We'll see that. So go to your implementation project. Just click on overview. Just open this project by clicking on the title. Any question?
Question: can we take a segment considering the chart of accounts and the balancing?
Your voice is not clear. I'm sorry, your voice is not clear.
My request is that we'll take a segment considering the multiple balancing segments it can. It will be fit for example.
Multiple
balancing segments are available in the region, correct?
I'm sorry, your voice is not clear. Okay, fine. So the first task is value sets. Okay, to create value set, we have a task called as manage. You can ignore manage this value specification in each and every task. Hello?
Now, Lakshman?
Yeah, now it's clear. Please.
Can we take a segment where we can have the multiple balancing segments? Where we have taken a company and it's correct?
There's just nothing wrong. You can take it. You may just have another segment called as a LOB. Those two you can make as a balancing. But one point is very important. All the time you have to make sure that for a debit and credit, the same balance, same value you are giving. Otherwise, the transactions will start failing. You can practice. You can practicing. You can do it. Okay, we are trying to understand functionality. Definitely, I'll be covering these things. Okay, that you may just otherwise all the time values.
Sorry, for our understanding, can you take a multiple segments?
No, you take it, but for a demonstration, not required. So we'll go with the simple segment structure, chart of account structure, 3 segments. You just use.
Without that, how we can take the consolidation with the multiple balancing segments?
So see, I'll show you the consolidation. Okay, but all the scenarios we cannot include. You just try from your end. If you have an issue, I am ready to help you.
No, for training purpose, my request is that we should take a multiple balancing segments structure here.
No, see, simple point. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm using company. You can take one more segment. That also you can make it as a secondary balancing. So in each and every transaction, you have to maintain the same values. That's how you'll be able to track the balances. So there is no advantage, even if I'm going to take one more segment as a balancing, there is no advantage where we are going to come up with some relevant scenarios. It's all about the balances will be tracked. You'll be able to generate the reports. So if there is some additional scenarios which I can show you as per our course, definitely I can take it. If you want to understand, you just take it, go through it. If you have any doubt, let me know. I'll help you on that. So whatever I planned, whatever the course curriculum I given, everything I'll be covering. So apart from that, if you are going to try on something, let me know. If you have an issue, I'll be helping on that. Okay. So there is no great advantage by taking all the time. I have to enter the additional values. That's it. Of course, I can set constant values, default values. That's how we can manage. Just you try. See, people may have a different concerns. Definitely. So whatever I'm going to show you, based on that, you will be able to do it. When you are doing, let me know if you have some issues. I'm ready to help you on that. No issues. Okay. So I'm not saying like just you try on your own, and if you have any issues, you just work on it. I'll help you on that if you need any support, if you are testing some scenario apart from what we are trying in our classes. Okay. Fine. So we'll just proceed with the value set definition. For that, you can just, for every task starts with a manage, you may just search with manage, or else ignore that term as a manage. Then directly you can go with chart of accounts.
Lakshman.
Please.
Hello, Lakshman.
Yeah, please.
Hello.
Yeah,
Lakshman, how many balancing segment can we have in Fusion?
We are going to discuss that. Yeah. So because when we create the segments, that we can see that. Segment labels nothing but flex field qualifier. There you can see. To give you the quick answer for your question, we have 3. Anyway, we are going to work on that. That is the reason I'm not just giving that. But once we reach that definition, we can see and we can discuss. Yeah, we'll do that. Fine. So here we can use the task called as chart of accounts value sets. Okay, chart of accounts value set. You can search with this term. You'll be able to find the task. So you can drag little right. You can see the full task name. Manage chart of accounts value sets. Just click on the task. If you notice here, the sequence of tasks you can find here. So first we have to create the value sets, then structure, then instance, then value set values. So whatever we discuss here, as a part of that we'll be doing. So this is sequence will be followed. Value sets, then structure. Within the structure we'll create the segments, and within the segment we'll use this value sets. Then we'll create the instance. After completing the instance definition, we have to deploy it. After deployment, we'll create the segment values. That's how it works. So the same sequence we are going to follow. The same I just written here, but as a part of instance, what we'll be doing, that also I written, and with for each segment what we assign, that also written. That's it. Okay, we'll go one by one. So first we have to create the value sets. Just click on go to task icon. Just click on create. If you want to see by default, so whatever the navigation take, by default sets option will be open. If you want to find out some existing value sets, you can search from here. Okay, so otherwise just anyway we are going to create our own value sets. Just click on create. Okay, so this is the navigation. I'm just closing that 1 second. Okay, so the task name is manage chart of accounts value sets. This is the task. click on go to task icon. It will take us to value set definition page. So if you want to search for any existing value sets, you can just go with any one of the criteria and you can search. Otherwise, from here you can create it. Just say create. So value set code will give the name. So everywhere will take prefix as ERP Cloud. So ERP Cloud company. I'll take the same as a description. And module. So in case of EBSS, we have two options where straight away you can go and create the value set. Otherwise, most of the time the value sets will be creating as a part of structure definition only. But here they're given the modules selection. Even if you give the module, this would be available to use anywhere. But just for information purpose, you just to classify that value set is belongs to which module related process, you have to specify the module name. Here it belongs to GL. Since we are going to use these value sets as a part of our chart of accounts, so the module name is general ledger. The validation type, say let's go with a independent value set. Then based on the selection, the rest of fields will open. So value data type is character. The security enable is related to SR, security rule. When we are working on GL, we'll discuss on those points. The security, once you enable it, here we have to provide the name and the rule can be defined. That we'll see later. Value subtype, I'll say test. And here you can specify maximum number of characters which you want to keep for is company related value code. I'll say 4. That means you can enter the company code in 4 digits. So you may specify here minimum, maximum, and uppercase only, 0 fill number. All the specifications you can give. Then say save and close. The same process will follow and will create 2 more value sets. So to use in our chart of account structure definition. Okay, just click on create. So ERP Cloud, so department. So module is general ledger. So general ledger, validation type. So independent. This value set definition remains same as EBS. You don't see any changes. So how you create there, you will be creating here also. Same. Validation data type, say character, and subtype you can select as a test. So maximum size, okay, there you can see the field name as maximum size in EBS. Here the same they given as a maximum length. I'm just taking 4 characters. Let's say save and close. And create one more value set for account segment. So ERP Cloud, say account. Value set name is ERP Cloud account. Select application name as general ledger. So independent value set, character, subtype is test. For account also I'm giving 4, or you may give 5 or 6 depending on values what you are going to maintain. Say save and close. See, now we are going with a manual process. After completing the manual process, later we'll see how to create all this automatically by using the rapid implementation spreadsheets. But we should understand what is the navigation, how to define here, what points we have to understand. That is the reason we are going through manual definitions of this calendars, chart of accounts, and primary ledger, business units, legal entities, everything we are going to create through manual process. And we have other option to generate automatically, but that is easy process we can do But when you go with only that process, if you have some issues or if you want to work on the system related definitions, that would be totally difficult for us. So that is the reason I'm initially will go with this manual process. Later I'll take you through the how to load all this information automatically, where system will create value sets and values and chart of account structure, all these definitions. Okay, that also we'll see. Now whatever we created, we'll see here from here. ERP cloud, search. So you can see the 3 value sets which we created. Here you have option to manage values. From here you can create the segment values, but don't create it after deploying after deployment only. The structure deployment only, how to create the values. Okay, so see here, otherwise just I'll take you through this. Just select ERP cloud account, then click on manage values. To create any segment values, you can just go with the manage values, and to create value, just click on create. I'm not going to create, just I'm going to show you, talk about specific point. See here, I can give you the value, I can give you the account, say for example cash account. I'll write the description where we have qualifiers, the segment qualifiers. In EBS segment qualifiers, we are calling as value attributes. Until unless the structure is deployed including this value set, system won't add any value attributes which are segment qualifiers. Now you cannot specify the account is what nature of account and all. So that is the reason, don't create any values for any segment, any value set before you go and deploy the instance. The option would be available, but we should not create it. That means without qualifiers only we can create. Okay, done. So we created value sets. The next step is we'll go and create the chart of account structure. Okay, so value set we created. Now we'll go and create the chart of account structure. So in the same sequence, the next task is manage chart of accounts structures. Just click on go to task icon. We know where we can create the chart of account structure. The chart of account structure we can create in the accounting flex field. You have to search for the same. So in the search section, search for accounting flex field. You may not write the full name, just search. The record system will display here. Accounting flex field we have as a part of general ledger. There is a short code for that, and module is this. Okay, and here the this flex field level deployment status is confirmed, or means deployed here. So now we want to create the chart of account structure. So to create the chart of account structure, first you have to select the key flex field. Okay, that is accounting key flex field. You have to search and find. Once you find it, once the record is available here, then this tab will get enabled. Okay, so search and find your accounting key flex field, then click on manage structures. Okay, then click on manage structures. This will open the space where you can create your chart of account structure. So if you want to see the existing structures, you can click on search. Within this accounting flex field, how many structures are already we have, those you can see from here, from this list. But anyway, we are going to create our own. Click on create. Okay, so here we can create our chart of account structure. We'll take the navigation once again. We'll redo that. Okay, the task name is manage chart of account structures. So that we have in the sequence only. So we created value sets. Now we are going to create the chart of account structure. And click on go to task icon. So here you can see these tabs are disabled since there is no record available to create the structure. So here search for your flex field, that is accounting flex field. So accounting key flex field, the name they are giving us just accounting flex field. Search for the same. So now you can see the record. Then click on manage structures. Then click on create. Here you can give the structure code. I'll say ERP cloud accounting flex field. Same I'm taking as a name as well as description. And select delimiter. It's nothing but segment separator. In EBS, in the structure definition time, you can see one parameter called as segment separator. Here the same, just you can see the label as a delimiter. So how the segments need to be separated, with which delimiter that you can select. Just go with this dot. So now we created structure name, we have to create the segments. So here segments create option is disabled. So if you want to enable this, you have to save this definition. Up to this you have to save it. Just click on save. Then system will allow you to create the segments under this structure, within this structure. Now you can see the segment create option is open. Just click on this. Now we can go and create the segments. So provide segment code. So a company. Once you tab out, system will take this name as an API name. So see, tab out. It will copy the same name as API name. See the purpose of what is the use of that API. Okay, specify a name that identifies the segment in the web services. Okay, when we are going to do the third-party integrations, we use that web services. And for reporting purpose and other integration point of view, the technical people will be using this name instead of using the segment code or segment name. Okay, so the same name system will copy automatically, that we call as API. For any third-party integrations and all, instead of using the segment code or name, they'll be using the API name only. Okay, so if I just name, I'm taking the same code as a name, and as description is same. It's going to be first segment in our chart of accounts structure, and what should be the prompt. In case of EBS, we'll see as a window prompt. We'll give the name. Once you tab out, it will be copied as window prompt. Here the same window prompt, and what is a short prompt for the segment same. And display width. In EBS also we have this display width. By default, system will take the display width. If you open any one of the segment related properties window, there you can see it. But here they are not taking any value as a default. What I'm going to do is I'm going to specify the width. Display width would be 30. For the segment value, I mean the company value set, I given maximum size as 4. That means company code I can enter in 4 digits. For the code related description, we can enter in how many digits. Display width talks about the description of the specific segment value. 30 means the company name you can write within the 30 characters. Okay, so go with the column name. Here we have other option, range type. Don't select all this, it will create few issues. If you are using the value set which will be addressing some time type of validation, in that case you can use this low and high. In normal cases they are not at all applicable. Okay, so if you are going to have one segment within your chart of accounts that will talks about time selection, in that case for those value sets, those segments, you have to go with the range type as a low or high. Okay, the time specifications and all, otherwise we never use it. So column name, so it's going to be segment 1. Okay, and default value set code. So we created value set. See here, value set is mandatory. Okay, for segment definition. Okay, select what are the value set we created. Just click on this LOV. So ERP cloud.
Lakshman, are there any shortcuts, Lakshman?
No shortcuts. This is only the process. So other option is you can type in this. Okay, most of the fields will work with autocomplete option. Here automatically it will load the value. So here you can try with this ERP cloud. Just you can tab out, it will fetch the value. If you have multiple records, it will display the pop-up. The most of the fields it will work as autocomplete option, where if you type ERP, it will just load the values, which value sets will start with ERP. I think that function is not applicable for the specific definition. We'll see in the many cases it works in that way. Okay, I think that function they did not apply for this definition. So we'll see in many cases, just if you type, it will show as autocomplete. For the same, you can see in EBS latest versions also. ERP cloud search. So this is a company segment, so we are going to assign company value set. Say okay. Now company, normally just company level only will balance the transaction and will generate the reports. So we'll assign balance in segment FlexFill qualifier to company segment. So the same FlexFill qualifiers here you can see as a segment labels. Okay, segment labels. So just here you can see cost center segment, and wherever you see as GSC, these are just in the test environments they generated these values. Okay, normally this is intercompany segment. Here we have intercompany segment, and all the other segments, just these values they just generated in these environments. Otherwise those are normally applicable here. So we have a cost center segment, same as EBS, and intercompany segment. The local usage is just you can see this location and segment local users you can see as a new, and management segment same as EBS, natural account same as EBS. The primary balancing you can say balancing segment, and secondary balancing segment here we have, and the third balancing segment also we have. We don't see secondary tracking segment FlexFill qualifier. Okay, your primary balancing, secondary balancing, third balancing. Okay, so these values, okay, so these just is in test environment, just Oracle added for certain testing purposes. Okay, these are not applicable. We have cost center, this is the actual value, which is a segment label. Okay, so this is how just we have the segment FlexFill qualifiers you can see here as a segment labels. That means you'll be able to, you can balance the transactions 3 levels. If you have such kind of requirement, will be just associating this balance in segment primary to one segment, secondary to another segment, third to another segment. That's how we can use it. So since this is a company, I'm just going with the primary balancing label assignment. So assign this, select it, then just select into this labels list. So that means we assigned primary balancing segment label to company segment. This is how just you can assign, and just say save and close. For department and do account also will be assigned in the relevant labels. So you can just give the specification. One segment we created within this chart of account structure. Let's go and create one more segment. Just click on create.
Lakshman, this is Ahmed.
Yeah.
Lakshman, I have a quick question. So
yes.
I've seen like in financial modules, different ERP, they have a predefined all these segments. And what you're doing is selecting these labels and making like confirm. So is there any in Oracle Fusion?
No, not.
Is there any
EBS or Fusion? We don't have that sort of thing. Like, okay.
No. But you are doing the same thing, cost center, and like
No.
You just selected the other one too, right?
These are labels. See, simple point. Here I selected company. I selected company here as per, say, if I take, it's different from client to client. Okay, so for segment we assign this label. So here in our case, company is the balancing, primary balancing label I am assigning. Another case, you may have a segment called as a legal entity, or you may have a something else as a segment which level you want to. For which segment level you want to balance the transaction, you want to do the reporting. For that segment, you can assign the label. But you can choose, okay, what should be your balancing segment, primary balancing, secondary balancing, or which segment should be cost center, division or department, or etc. So segment, you can come up with your requirement that which qualifier you want to qualify. For that, you can assign the relevant label. Accordingly, it will act. Yeah, labels are predefined, seeded.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Segments you can manage. For which segment, which label you want to use, that you can come up with your business requirement.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Fine. So just we are going with the department segment definition. It's going to be sequence 2. Okay, and prompt. So don't go with the sequence 10, 20, 30. There is some bug in the few instances. It won't work. Okay, go with the sequence number 1, 2, 3 only. Don't go with the 10, 20, 30 sequence. Fine. Department here. For department name description also, I'm just maximum size can be allowed up to 30 characters. And here column name, it's going to be segment 2. Segment 2. And the value set ERP Cloud department. Search. Select this value set and say okay. So for department, cost center segment label, then say save and close. Okay, the other segment is account segment. Just click on create. Say account. It's going to be third segment. So there is no change in the number of segments which you define in this chart of account. It remains same. The number is 30. Okay, 30 segments we can create. Your maximum display width for account description, I'm giving 30. It's going to be just segment 3. And just select relevant value set. So account value set. So for account, the label is natural account, right? So select and say assign that label, then say save and close. So structure we created, within that segments we created, for relevant segments we assign required segment labels, then say save and close. What is the next task? We have to deploy the accounting flex field. Okay, we have to deploy it. Okay, sorry, before that, just so you can just deploy in this stage also, nothing wrong. Okay, but finally you can use the instance only. Let's go in the same sequence. So we assign. Now we'll go and create the chart of account structure instance. So in the system process, okay, let me say The system process, now whatever you create as a chart of accounts, you cannot use that as it is. Against this chart of account structure, we have to create the instance. Instance is nothing but copy. We have to make a copy. So by using one chart of account structure, you can create multiple copies. That definition, the copied instance only, copied chart of account structure only you can use in the primary ledger creation time. Okay, let's look into that, how to make the copy of existing chart of account structure. So in the process of instance definition, we'll discuss few points. So if you notice here, okay, instance creation, structure creation time, we don't have certain controls which you can see at the time of instance definition. Let's see how to do that. First, we created chart of account structure. Then, so next step is we have to create the structure instance. That means whatever the structure we created, that we have to make a copy. Just click on manage structure instances. Then say create. So structure instance code, ERP cloud, accounting. I'll just name it as an instance. The same name system will take as API name for the same purpose. So third-party integrations and all, they'll be using this API name only instead of structure code. So give the same name as a name under description. And here you can see we have all the controls at instance level, whether this has to be enabled so that it will be available to create any primary ledger, and dynamic combination creation allowed, allow dynamic inserts, which is in EBS. So that is there at instance level, not at structure level. And sort and aliases also you can enable, or you can enable at only this level. So now we are going to create instance, means instance we are going to create against chart of account structure, because structure we cannot use for the primary ledger creation, only you can use the instance. All the controls also you can set an instance level. Fine. So this instance we want to create against which structure, that structure we have to select here. The structure name we have as ERP cloud accounting flex field. Select it. Within this structure, how many segments we have, all will get displayed here. Okay, all will get displayed here. So those which segments, so we want to have in this instance as a mandatory, those we have to mark it as a required. So yes, we need these three segments. That is the reason we included these three segments as a part of this chart of account structure. The same we require into this instance also, you have to set as a required. Select company and click on edit. Now when we are going to enable as it is required, we have option where you can override the value sets. So we'll be copying all the segments from chart of account structure to instance. In this process, if you want to use the different value set, you can override it. You may change it. In your chart of account structure, this is the value set you choose, but instance you may have different one. Finally, system will be using the value set which is going to be part of instance. So chart of account structure is like template. By using the template, you can create one or multiple instances as per a requirement. Now what we have to do is, so provide this information, select against which chart of account structure you want to create instance. Then within that chart of account structure, what are the segments we have, it will get displayed here. Which segment we are going to use as a part of this instance, we have to set as required. Okay, how to do it? Select segment, then click on edit. Enable as required. Okay, enable as required. So then this would be available in our this instance, okay, for transaction process as a mandatory. And you may change the value set which is there, which is defaulting from the structure, or else you can go with the same. And display, it will get displayed in the process. And BA enabled, BA reports you can generate for the values which are available within this. The default value types, you can set default values and all. So constant value or SQL query based, you can set it up. So that we'll see later. We'll set how to set the default information. And other point is, in case of EBS, we know within the value set only, whatever we assign to segments will go and create the parent and child relation. So but here that parent and child relation will be creating as a tree structure. Here tree structure is nothing but parent and child relation. The parent value specification you can set at the time of values creation, but if you want to create some, if you want to get some values as a child values under the parent, you have to create the chart of accounts hierarchy, accounts hierarchy you have to create. That hierarchies will be able to select here. So for example, you selected this company segment. If it is not company, say account. So in that case, what are the values, what are the parent and child relations you have related to this segment related values, all you can, that hierarchies you can select here. Going forward, we'll see that point. I'll just define and I'll take you through that, but just as information I'm trying to share, we'll do it. Okay, so what we have to do is just you have to enable as this is required, then just say okay. So this is how you have to select segments from structure to instance. So this is marked as required, and the same way department also we required into our instance from this structure. So just click on edit.
Hello, Lakshman.
Yeah. Say required and say okay.
We are talking about the instance, right? Accounting instance. We can create more than one instance, but in if we look into the setup, we can use only one instance, right? I mean, otherwise it will be overlap if we use more than one instance.
One instance in one ledger. One instance can be used in multiple ledgers. In one ledger, you can have only one instance. Say for example, if it is a kind of global chart of accounts, okay, the same you'll be using everywhere. Or you have a requirement, same chart of accounts, same chart of account structure you are going to use, but you need same chart of accounts for different ledgers with the different value sets. Okay, in this case you can just copy and you can use it, or else, okay, if you are going to say, if you take EBS practice, take the same example. You created your chart of accounts. Within that you have these three segments. For each segment you have value sets, like value set name I am giving as 1, 2, 3. These are the three value sets, 1, 2, 3 value sets we assign to these respective segments. This I am going to use this chart of account into primary ledger 1. So when I take this chart of accounts into primary ledger 1, what are the value sets are associated with this 1, 2, 3 will be part of this primary ledger. The same chart of accounts I want to use into primary ledger 2. Primary ledger 2, here this I will call it as primary ledger 1, primary ledger 2. Same chart of accounts I want to use, but I need different value sets. In that case, instead of creating the complete definition, that you can make a copy. While you are copying the value sets to which company or department, say for example department value should be totally different. So in that case you can choose the different value set where you have a different values, but rest of everything remains same from the same definition. Only value set you are going to change. That changed instance, that instance 2 you can use into primary ledger 1, which is a copy of the actual definition only. That's how you can manage if you have such kind of requirement. Another point is Oracle made this process as mandatory. As per most of the business cases, you may not see the great advantage of this instance, but as a process they made this is a mandatory. If you want to, whatever the structure you are creating, if you want to use it, you have to create instance. Just simple process. This is how you have to go and specify which are the segments required, and you have to mark it. Then this instance will be ready to use as a part of your primary ledger definition. The process wise they made it as a mandatory. Okay, so most of the cases you may not see this as some benefit in the system definition point of your business logic. Okay, this is how just you can create. But if you have such kind of this kind of scenarios, same chart of accounts you want to use, but the segments whatever you have within that should have a different value sets. In that case, same chart of accounts, use it, create instance 1, and you may go with the same segments. Create instance 2, same segment, same chart of accounts you are copying, but maybe for department you may change the value set, rest will remain same. So that's how, again here also it will become 2 instances. So instead of creating 2 times, okay, you can create. Otherwise in the normal EBS practice, if you're going to change the value set for this department within this value set, it will be applicable for all. Otherwise, you have to create new one, right? You cannot override. Here we have an override option with multiple definitions you can do, and you will be able to override with the instance logic. And controls also they're given here only, since this is the actual one which will be just used in the transaction creation process. Okay. So frankly speaking, there is no great advantage with this instance. So as a process, you have to define instance. Without instance, you cannot create the primary ledger. Directly chart of accounts you cannot take any concept, any further process of usage of chart of accounts in EBS. The same logic you have to handle with the instance only. Okay. So just this is how you have to specify. So after specification, you can say save and close. This is how you have to create instance. Means just we are copying the structure to instance definition. We are making a copy, and at the time of copy you will be able to override the value sets if you want to do it. Okay, so that's how we have to complete the chart of account structure definition. After this, if you look at this, so in case of EBS, what we do, we'll select our chart of account structure, we'll freeze and we'll compile. But here, if you want to, yeah.
Lakshman, when we are talking to override, so override is only the value set override.
Value set only, yes, correct.
Is it only the value set override, or we can do some other
only value set override only
functionality?
No, value set override only. Okay, and another point also I can take here, we can take example. See, we taken the value set override. Chart of accounts we have these, okay, and that just you have a business requirement for you are going to use the same chart of account, the primary ledger 1, primary ledger 2. I will say the value sets may be same. The value sets you are going to use the same, but your requirement may be for in the primary ledger 1 you want to maintain the different account hierarchy, and primary ledger 2 you want to maintain the different hierarchy. In that case, you can create by copying this same CO, you can create instance 1, instance 2. So the instance 1 may be for primary ledger 1, instance 2 may be for primary ledger 2. The chart of account, everything remains same, and you can create and account trees, and you can associate how you require in the primary ledger 2 related, and how you require in the primary ledger 1 and 2 at instance level. Okay, just now we have seen here you can maintain that hierarchy tree structure, so you can maintain different hierarchies. Instance is same, I mean chart of account is same, but two different copies. With the copy you will be able to manage that additional requirements. So different value sets or different account hierarchies or any segment related values hierarchies you can manage. Okay, that's how you can do it. That is some additional advantage we can take if we have such kind of requirement. But process wise, it's a mandatory how to define.
Lakshman, suppose I have the different for the another ledger. I want the different structure like company division, and then I want to take the rest is the same. So I have to again structure, I have to create and then copy the instance.
Exactly. You have to
right?
New chart of accounts. Yes.
And if it is only value set, then only we need only one structure. Just we have to copy the existing one instance, and then we can make the another.
Yes. That will reduce your system related work. You don't need to create again and the same definitions or separate definitions. Okay, so you can just copy and you can come up with the change logic. Yeah, please. Your voice. We can't hear you. Tushar, no, like it's can't hear you. Please check that audio connectivity from your end. Any questions here, please? It's a mandatory step which you have to perform even if you are not going to take any advantage of this definition. If you have a requirement where you want to create multiple and where value sets are different and the account hierarchies or any other segment values or hierarchies are different, in that case this would be very much useful. Otherwise, as it is, we have to use it. Okay, so in case of EBS, what we do is we'll select specific chart of account structure and we'll compile. But here the compile activity will be doing not at structure level, entire flex field level. accounting flex field. Say within this accounting flex field, say we have a 10 chart of account structures and 10 or 20 instances. Now what we have to do is we have to submit this entire accounting flex field for deployment. Deploy flex field, not deploy structure or deploy instance. Deploy flex field. When you submit this, system will deploy, system will compile all those chart of account structures and instances. If everything is fine, this here the deployment status will be coming as a deployed. Otherwise it will be ending with error, and you can look into that, we can fix it. Say for example, you are going to practice, somebody created chart of accounts where they didn't take two mandatory segment, they didn't specify mandatory segment labels, but you created properly. When you submit for a deployment, you are not going to submit the deployment for your chart of account structure and instance what you created. You are going to submit the deployment for entire accounting flex field level. So within this flex field, if there are some incomplete definitions related to instance chart of account structures, then it will end with error. Okay, that anyway you will be getting the message. Based on that we can go and correct it. Okay, so we are not going to submit this deployment for our chart of account definition, we are going to submit it for entire flex field level. So this is the point. Since we create a new one here, the deployment status changed to edited. That means there are some changes happened within this accounting key flex field. You might have created new or you modified, some changes happened. That's how system identified. Now you have to submit for deployment. You have to make sure that always this deployment status would be deployed. Okay, so now what we have to do is just click on deploy flex field. It will submit the process. You can see that any errors and all, it would be reporting here only. You can go through it accordingly. You can fix again, you can resubmit for a deployment till you see that it would end without any errors. Meantime, any questions from anyone, please? It takes maybe a couple of minutes time also, since we have many chart of account structures and instances within this flex field. In general cases we'll be having very few, right? So it won't take much time. Now it may take a couple of minutes time. Meantime, any questions from anyone, please?
Lakshman, one quick suggestion. Can you ask the training institute to send a text message before the class? Yesterday, just I didn't see my email and kind of forgot the class, so it might be helpful to fire a text message on the phones.
Yeah, see, the point here is the class timings are fixed. Class timings are fixed. If you are going to change, definitely yes. So we should go in that way where we'll be sending the message and all. So see, the timings are fixed. If any changes in the classes, I mean to say, if there is no class because of some reason tomorrow, then definitely today itself we'll be circulating email. That's how we'll do it. But if that is fine for you, okay, or else if you want us to do that.
The reason I'm asking is we are in different countries, right? Sometimes you're on the road, so
no. See,
phone is always
time
with
is
you.
fixed.
You see the text message.
No.
Yeah,
The point is,
I know.
the time is fixed. So in that case, I don't think
That's right.
some message will help us again. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Lakshman, other question is that Excel file which you're building, Excel file, can you also share on the Google Drive that Excel file?
That I cannot share whatever I am writing. There are some concerns. If you don't mind, you may just make a note, because just it's not too much of information. So just few points.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, I'm parallelly. You may just make a note from your end in the system, or else when you are playing next time, you can just take those points.
Yeah, probably, because you know it was one place you can just go through quickly.
Exactly. That's what.
Okay.
Lakshman, in my previous company, when I was working, we had in US and Canada.
Okay.
We use currently also they're still using the EPS with the same chart of accounts. It's just so the only change, and I'm just repeating. I think I just want to clarify myself.
Yeah.
So only the value set, because we have 8 segments, everything same, whether it's in the US or Canada. So only thing is you need to, the value set has to be changed.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. In such kind of
right,
scenarios, you no need to define one more chart of account structure. The same structure you can replicate. I mean, you can copy to different instance definition. Then you can change the value sets. Yep. Just it will.
And I can find the ledger.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ledger, different instances.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fine. Here we can see the status as 100% completed, and you can see the flex field metadata validation 0 errors. Okay. The 11 warnings. If you want to see that warnings are reporting which structures and details, you can see that. So make sure that there are no errors. So there are some other instances where somebody created Corp US chart of accounts. Okay, Corp US UOA, FCL Global, some other. These all are reporting some other different structure definitions. We don't have any issue. If you see any error, that may just create some issue. Otherwise, you can proceed. When you see any number of errors here, you can go through it. Clearly, they'll be mentioning, just a system will mention what's wrong with that. Here, the warning is the segment label for GL product from the structure. It says like for so and so the structure, the primary balancing label is missing, or natural account is missing, or else minimum 2 labels need to be assigned. That's how we'll give the message. Then you can go through that message and you'll be able to fix it. For now, you don't see any errors, so you can just say okay. Now we'll be able to see the status as deployed. See, status is deployed. The deployment status is deployed. You have to make sure that the status system will update as deployed. If you have some errors and all in that pop-up window itself, you can see. Otherwise, from here also it would report deployment errors. If you click on that, it would get display. Okay, so that's how it works. Fine. Okay. So just this is a point we have to verify. Done. Now just we're done with the deployment. Now you can go ahead and you can create the segment values. Now if you open the segment values, okay, just we're done with the instance deployment. Now you can create the segment values. Because we deployed this in chart of account structure and instance, within that chart of account structure, what are the value sets we created? Within the value set, if you are going to create any value, system will populate the value attributes. It will add the value attributes because of the deployment. Now you can go and see. Anyway, this values and all will create in the tomorrow session. It's already 9:50 AM IST here. So we'll create the values in the tomorrow session, but just for the information, we'll go through that. See here, you don't need to take separate navigation for instance. From here also we have instance tab. That's how you can manage. Otherwise, separate navigation also you have. So say ERP cloud. Select account. Earlier we tried with the same. Now you can see the difference. This value set we used in so and so instance, that instance, that chart of accounts, that chart against the chart of account instance is created that got deployed. Because of that reason, it will be adding value attributes. Nothing but segment qualifiers when you compare with EBS. See here, it's added. Earlier we could not able to see all this information, right? Anyway, we'll discuss and we'll be working on these points in tomorrow's session. So any questions based on today's session or previous sessions or any other points to be discussed, please?
Lakshman, I sent you an email. Can you take a look at it?
Sure.
Okay. There's something to do with an...
Annappa speaking, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, fine. I'll just look into that. Yeah.
It's about the employee, like I want to cut a PO or something. I have to set an employee. I think that I'm having an issue.
Okay, yeah, I'll just look into that. See, if you want to create that employee, I think you might be going through the previous session videos. So there is some dependency setups where you have to create LDZ, legislative data group, that you have to map with your legal entity. Then system will support you to define the employee user definition by selecting the legal employer, nothing but legal entry into business unit. Have you done those setups?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so because I didn't know that one. So probably I'm missing that. I'm getting there.
That screenshot with error message, right?
Yeah, I sent you that one.
Fine. I'll look into that if any other communication required.
Okay.
Yeah, fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So any questions from others, please?
Hi, Lakshman. This is Ananta.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, please.
Hi, this question is based on yesterday's session actually.
Yeah, please.
So when we are assigning the tasks to multiple users, so yesterday when we see,
Yep.
when we saw that you have assigned to Cloud AA, right? So it is showing it is not, Cloud AA user cannot complete the task. It is coming as red, right?
Yes.
But that Cloud AA is already a FSM user, I mean application manager user actually.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So when I tried logging in with the Cloud AA,
Okay.
and then I added Cloud ERP, same thing I am getting. For Cloud ERP, I am getting that in that Cloud ERP user cannot able to complete the task.
Okay. Okay. So ideally, see if that user has a privileges, it should what
Mm-hmm.
the users see here. I mean, I'll show you this point. Authorized roles. Basically, if you click on this here, the roles also system has to display which roles will give the access to define this chart of account value sets and structures and instances. Okay, I think in this
Okay.
instance that connectivity is missing. That could be the reason it is not recognizing that. The same
Okay.
you are talking in the next session. I'll show you the different instance.
Okay.
Because this is not going to become some showstopper or some, it won't create an issue. Just for information purpose, we have to understand. Definitely, I'll be showing in the other instance. Basically, when you click on this, it will list out. It will list out what are the different roles can give the access to us to create the specific task. It has to give the big list. Okay, so that is just
Okay.
environment. So, any other questions, please?
Lakshman, I forgot one quick question. Sorry. The Springboard customization, switch on, switch off some of the icons on the Springboard. I forgot. Can you show us quickly, please?
Yes. No, you want me to show that how to switch? Just click on home page. Here is icon, personalized Springboard.
Okay.
If you are going to click on this enable tools, it will get enabled here. If you disable it, it will be disabled here, but it would be there in the navigator.
Okay, good. Thank you.
This personalization is applicable only for Springboard, not to navigator. Okay.
Hi, Lakshman.
Yep.
While managing geographical directory, geography, managed geography, I was in running the Nokia data.
Okay.
So for AR was the country code.
Okay.
So when we define the structure, after defining the structure, we can't load the Nokia data. But when I remove that structure, then only I can load the Nokia data.
Without structure definition?
Yes. So is it mean कि Nokia data have predefined structure? So we can't override that?
No. See, Nokia. See, basically by following the standard structure for the different geography types, the data is available. Whatever you are choosing accordingly, system will be picking the values and it will be loading. Say for US.
No, actually. That was the question from you. When I define the structure and then try to run Nokia data, it was not loading. It is disabled. When I remove the structure and then it is enabled and loaded it. I did it for AR.
Okay. Manage geography. So you whatever you're referring in our instance only, or?
Yes. Your instance only.
Okay.
I did for AR and AD. There was two country. I was trying each and every country and I find AR and AD was not loaded.
Basically, you have to define that structure. So for that, you submitted.
Yes, I loaded and submitted.
Okay, 1 second.
But
no, it should accept. See, first you have to define that structure because that is That is the point here why we have all these specifications. Why we have all these
Yeah, but
required.
but if I define first, I define the structure, and then that option Nokia data option is disabled. Then I removed it. Then it is again enabled. So that I understood we have to means
No. Maybe
it has default structure.
in this environment they might have set in that way, but ideally it should work. We will create that structure, then we'll submit. That's how it should work. That's how we do.
And one more question. In the last option, we have to map it through in the last tab. I don't remembering it. Just if you click it, done here.
Yeah.
Last tab is the
last tab is validation.
Yeah, validation. In validation, you have to map it with the means seeded one. I think.
No.
You have to map it.
Whatever you
map attribute.
No, 1 second. Whatever you have a geography types, those will just get displayed here. Those just here you can go with the same selection. You can do it.
That is not with AR. If you open with AR, you will find different mapping over there. So means this is seeded, map to attribute is seeded one or what?
So geography type, whatever you are selecting, it's whatever name you given. So these all will be seeded values which Oracle is providing based on the country.
I know in AR in our AD it is different. That I means I don't understood.
We'll go through that.
Hi Lakshman, this is Ramna.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one question regarding yesterday class.
Okay.
Once we create, suppose we created one implementation project and then we assign user.
Okay.
After that, enable the offerings and options. Based on that, it will automatically create the task and task list, right?
Correct.
There, same user will assign automatically, or we have to assign manually?
The same user, like for project, the same user will get assigned, and by default it will system will be taking that. Since that user is associated at project level, the entire definition will belongs to the same user.
Yeah.
You can remove that assignment and you can assign to someone else, or else you can keep as is, since that person will have some sort of ownership to manage the project for any task.
Yeah, my question is like in task level, same user will assign whatever user we assigned in implementation project level.
No. It won't get assigned automatically. If that same user is going to perform certain task, automatically system will update the information as who performed the task. That's how it will update. It won't get assigned automatically.
So we have to assign manually, right?
Yeah, manually you have to assign. For the same person is going to for a specific functional area. I mean to say offering or option or a different person, that manually we have to do it. Yep. Yeah, see here the same. You can see here. This is a what geography type which you might have created or which you used in the definition type, and in the same state we have all this, right? And for municipality here.
So here department having country, right?
Sorry?
So it is. I didn't change anything. Department having country, right?
Okay.
I didn't change anything. It is means.
This is how it loaded.
What is the function means? Yes.
You didn't define any geography types.
No.
Okay.
Everything is came by Nokia data only.
Okay. But we have to see that that is a country specific, right? Which country this is?
Yes.
Argentina. We have to just look at how these things can be managed over there. Then that would be say department, county means what they treat as a department. We have to understand. Maybe county wise they may have departments in that country. We have to see that points.
Yeah. I got it.
Yeah. Fine. So that is the reason I take it US as a best examples where we know very well. So what is the structure and how. So I'll just look into that point what you specified where you are not able to load when we define the structure. Basically, ideally, that's how we do it. We'll define the structure how we want. Accordingly, you can load it. Yeah. I'll just check. I'll just look into it. We'll discuss in the next session. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Fine. Thanks. So any other questions from anyone, please? Fine then, if no questions, we'll wind up the session for today. We'll connect tomorrow same time and we'll continue with the, so we're done with the calendar, currency is ready, chart of accounts are ready. Just we have to create the segment values. After that, we'll proceed with the primary ledger definition and LE and other definitions. Okay. Fine, see you tomorrow. Have a good day and good night. Thank you all.